Hi again, everybody. This is Chuck Guglielmo, and welcome to another edition of Around the Town with Chuck, a weekly interview show where we interview interesting people from the area. And today we have two well-known interesting people, businessmen in the past and still, Mike Joslin and Nick Iarocci. How are you guys today?
Wonderful. Thanks for having us.
Good. Thank you. And we are here to talk about a very significant event that will be coming up in a little bit less than 3 weeks. The Ashtabula County Basketball Foundation, which these two men are responsible for. But before we do talk about that, Mike, I have to congratulate you, Joslin Landis Insurance, 20 years. Talk a little bit about that.
Thank you very much. Well, 20 years seems like a long time, but business-wise, we feel like we're in our infancy, Hopefully continue to expand. We're in a great community. We can't thank people enough for the support we have. And just blessed to be in the position we're in. So thank everybody out there for their support. And of course, it helps to have a big family and lots of friends. So we've been very, very fortunate.
And how thrilling is it for you to have your three sons working with you?
That's even better because I can, sneak out of there every once in a while. Yeah, they do a great job. Our whole staff is really, really good. It's nice to be able to take a day away from there and not have to worry about anything. So again, very blessed.
Do you remember, Chuck, where Joslin Landis first started?
Was it in the radio station?
No.
It was right next to my law office where
Is
we
that
first
right?
started. We were
Crown
next door
Jewelers.
neighbors, the old Crown Jewelers.
Right?
And I
They
was
tore
in
it down next to Orlando's there where the
Yeah.
billboard is.
Did not know that.
Yeah, that's where he was
There for
on
a
the
year.
end, right?
Yes.
And I was kind of in the middle, right?
Yes, that's right.
So yeah, we were neighbors.
Yep.
That's how we started, and then we went our separate ways.
Does it seem like 20 years, Mike?
No, flew by. We talk about this all the time. You try to tell your children how fast it goes, and you can't really get it through to them. But boy, just the blink of an eye, 20 years went by like crazy. 20 more years, and I'm out of there.
And it's all errands, right?
That's right. It's all their headache.
Yeah. Again, congratulations on that. And speaking of years, it's been about 14 years, I think, since you guys came up with this Ashtabula Basketball Foundation, which has been very successful. If I remember right, and I could be wrong, but we were doing broadcasts at the time, basketball broadcasts for the Spartans. And I think the two of you were brainstorming through that around 2003 at the broadcast table.
That's right. Yeah, it was actually, we were on our way home from a school board convention in Columbus, and Nick and I kind of hashed it out in the car and came to the conclusion, let's do this. And that's how it actually started.
What made you want to do this?
Well, I had just attended the Ashtabula touchdown banquet, and so the idea came from that. And I thought, geez, basketball really needs that in this county, among other sports. And, I still feel that way. But basketball was the next logical progression in my mind. And Nick, being a basketball player, I ran it by him. And, of course, he was all on board. So that's actually how it started.
And it has expanded throughout the years.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's expanded immensely, much more so than we ever dreamed. Honestly, But yeah, it was Mike's idea. He's the idea guy, and then he approached me with it, and then we kind of set the organization all up. But our first contact was to Ed Lumen,
Right.
who was publisher of the Star Beacon, because frankly, without the Star Beacon's involvement early on, it would not have taken off the way it did. And Ed was all on board, and from that point on, it just
For a few very good reasons. Not only their publicity, but their research. We realized we're going to have to rely on somebody for research to make sure that we get the best candidates and the best kids and stuff like that. So, boy, that was just a key meeting with Ed Lumen was, and boy, Ed from the start was gung-ho. What a great idea, let's do this. And it made it easy for us.
And now Chris Solaric is getting that information for you, the retired sports writer, very knowledgeable sports writer.
Well, it's nice now. We actually have a committee that Nick and I are not on. We have a Hall of Fame committee, and they actually meet and go through all the research and then make their presentations to the rest of the board. So it's developed into a full-blown committee, and they do a great job. Great job.
So tell us a little bit about this. Of course, you recognize players, coaches, both girls and boys. Referees, I think, are in there. You recognize media people. I think you even bring in, I know you bring in Master of Ceremonies person to do it. I think Diving Dave Miller's doing it this year.
Yes, he is.
At least that's the rumor. I
Yes,
guess.
he is. Last
What'd
couple
you call
years,
it?
yeah.
On his radio, they call him Diving Dave Miller.
Okay, I'll remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, he did a great job last
Yeah.
year for us.
Yeah.
So, how do you go about recognizing? Who do you contact? What are your contacts?
Well, every year, each school, boys and girls, gets to select a Player of the Year nominee. So we leave that up to the school and the coach of each program to designate. How they select, that's up to them. And so they make their nomination. So each of those nominees are recognized. So that makes our job easy. We don't have to worry about recognizing. We do recognize the first team players of the year from the Star Beacon.
All county,
Also,
right.
all county. And we have them recognized as well. But then really it's the Hall of Famers that our committee selects, and they get as much recognition as possible. Give them an opportunity to speak and to thank all of those people who had a great deal to do with their successes. And you know, they get pretty emotional at times, some of these speeches. And
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Very emotional. You almost need tissue.
Sure, yeah.
yeah.
It's my favorite part of the banquet.
It's a very good banquet, and like I say, we're going to talk about that too. So what is the main function, would you say?
Well, our mission statement is to promote basketball best we can in Ashtabula County, on all levels, from the kids to the coaches to the players to the fans to the organizations.
And this is every single high school in Ashtabula County, including St. John's, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So that's what, 7 or 8 schools, I believe?
8 schools, right.
Yeah, I mean, to promote and to recognize the best basketball player from a Player of the Year standpoint, the best basketball player, both girls and boys in the county. We don't really take into account from a Player of the Year standpoint somebody's community activities or their grades. We want to recognize the best basketball player. Now, from a scholarship standpoint, we do give scholarships out, and we do take into account, obviously for scholarship purposes, somebody's community activities, school activities, their grades and such, and those are accounted for. But from a basketball standpoint, and that's something Mike and I committed on early on to, that we really want to promote, at least from the Player of the Year standpoint, those players who are the best in their trade. And the same with coaches, the coaches' recognition. So.
And when you were at your infancy stages, you didn't include referees at first, am I correct? That went on a few years afterwards, or did you start from year 1 with the referees?
Boy, that's a good trivia question.
Yeah, all right, you're testing our memories there.
I'm
Testing my own memory.
Yeah, I'm thinking we did it from year 1. And you know, we're kind of proud of that award because nobody recognizes the officials.
No.
You know, on account of, you know, we always laugh, you know, who cheers for a referee, but
Would you call?
exactly, yeah, all they hear is bad stuff. So we thought, you know, these guys are out there running up and down the floor, blood, sweat, and tears every night. Let's at least honor one of them each year. And that's what we've chosen to do.
And it's good to have Phil Garsha on our board. Phil's been a charter member of our board of trustees since the beginning, so he's kind of helped us along in choosing or helping choose that person, because he's the assigner as well as intimately involved with all of these referees. And I think he, on behalf of the referees, appreciates the recognition that they're getting from our
And they're big supporters of our banquet. They always buy a table or 2 tables to support us, so it's the least we can do to give back.
Now, each school, every year that you have this, has Hall of Fame candidates?
Most years, I'm gonna say yes. There may be 1 or 2 years in there where there hasn't been, but it's a numbers game. You know, there's many more basketball players come from the bigger communities. Some of the smaller communities obviously will have fewer Hall of Fame members, so it's a numbers game. We try to each year get a representative from each community. Most years we're successful. You know, 1 or 2 years we're not, but that's the goal.
You know, when we first started this, we had decades to make up for in recognizing those who've played high school basketball over the years. So, you know, we're now starting to play catch up, and you know, there's a 15-year waiting period for men In other words, you have to have graduated from high school, and you have to be out of the system for at least 15 years to even be considered.
Right.
And that brings about some of the Conneaut high school teams of the early 90s. It's some of those players are going to now be eligible in the very near future for selection into our Hall of Fame, but it's taken so many years to play catch up.
And on the same note, the girls getting their program started in the 70s, they have a 20-year sit-out period, so that's coming up, and you're going to start to see a lot of girls inducted
We've
into
got
the
a
Hall
lot
of
of
Fame.
great girl athletes
A lot of great
in
girl
the
athletes.
county.
Yep.
We had Boyd Griffith, of course, he's going to be nominated. We had him in here a couple weeks ago. And
Oh,
he
did
is
you?
Really excited.
Oh, good for him.
He is really excited,
Good
and
for
I'm
him.
sure Kean is as well.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So that will be exciting. Well, now the banquet itself is on Sunday, April the 3rd. A few years ago, you moved this to the afternoon rather than the evening. What was the thinking process behind that? It's a fairly long event.
Well,
3
actually,
hours?
it's been shortened quite a bit, because originally we always had the student or the player of the year nominees give a few-minute talk. And we've taken that out of the program a few years ago. And so they're acknowledged and recognized, but the students don't speak, which has cut down immensely on the time that, because we used to honestly get complaints from people that it was a little
From
too
the
long.
length of time, sure.
Yeah, so we've cut it down. I think we were out of there in less than 2 hours last year, actually last few years.
And we also want to accommodate, we have an older population there celebrating, and for them to be driving home after dark and long hours and getting home late at night, the more we talked about it, we thought, let's back this thing up a little, get them out of there at 5 o'clock, where
I
there's
think
plenty
that's
of
a good
daylight.
move.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
worked
yeah.
out.
Well, actually, to be honest with you, even though that it worked out perfectly that way, it was Carl Pearson who asked us to have it earlier in the day so that he could,
Newspaper.
they could
That's true.
have enough time to write their
Makes
articles
sense.
That's
and
true.
get it-
That's
meet
right,
their
yeah.
press deadline. So that's really the original reason we moved it up, and
Yeah, I forgot
it's
about
worked
that.
out actually well, and we've kept it at that time. So.
Afternoon, I think, does work better for a lot of people.
Right.
Sunday over Saturday, why was that chosen?
Avoids conflicts. I mean, everybody's
activity.
usually has something going on a Friday or Saturday night, and Sunday afternoon, it's amazing how few conflicts you run into.
Right.
So that was the primary reason for Sunday.
So run us through the banquet schedule. I know you start with a social at 2:30, then there's a dinner. Take us from there, the rest of the agenda.
Well, we usually get the dinner started by 3, and then we'll go right into the program as people are finishing up dinner, because we want to keep it moving along so people are out of there by 5 o'clock if we can get them out of there. That's usually what happens. And then we'll start our awards program probably 3:30. We try to get going by 3:30. So a good solid hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, and then we're out of there.
So we recognize early on today, the players, the students of today who have been nominated as the Player of the Year candidates, and then we go to the past. We then save the Hall of Famers for the latter portion of the program, and then at the very end we recognize the award winners. Like the Player of the Year winners and the Coach of the Year winners and the Referee of the Year,
Scholarships.
and so forth.
Yeah.
And of course, which could be different than what the county votes on.
Absolutely.
Or the Star Beacon as well, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Tickets, how do people get tickets? Mike Joslin, it says here, Joslin Landis, and then there's a phone number.
593-6880.
That's it.
Yep, we have the tickets in, and they're $30 each, $10 for students, and $10 for past Hall of Fame members if they want to attend. And if you would like
That's a
to,
good deed.
Yep, we have tables of 8. If you would like to reserve a whole table, we give a discount, $200 for the table as opposed to $240. So you'll save a little bit of money if you buy a table of 8. Call me, get your name in, we reserve a table for you, so you just show up and find your table and you've got a spot to sit.
And each school is pretty well represented at this event.
We're proud of that.
Should be.
Our directors,
Should be proud of that.
our directors really go to, we assign directors to their prospective schools, and our directors are handpicked for a reason. We feel like they're the best of the best doing what they do in the county. And they take the time to go to each of their individual schools, make sure tickets are there, get support for our banquet, and geez, they've done a terrific job. We couldn't ask any more of our directors. Proud to have them all.
Yeah, and we've got representation in every part of the county too, so.
Yes.
You know, which leads us to say that we lost a longtime charter member last year in Tom Henson.
Yes.
Tom is sadly missed, and in his memory we started a golf outing. And this year's golf outing, it would be the second annual, is on June 11th. I think shotgun starts at 10 a.m. at Village Green Golf Course, and so it's just a way to fundraise as well as to memorialize Tom for all he did for our group. So,
Nick Iarocci and Mike Joslin are my guests this week here on Around the Town with Chuck, and we're talking about the upcoming Ashtabula County Basketball Foundation, which will be on April the 3rd. I mentioned Boyd Griffith and K.N. Fells as Conneaut representatives. Who are some of the other Hall of Fame inductees? Or aren't you
I didn't bring my list. No, we're allowed to say, but I didn't bring my list. I'm sorry.
Why do I think there's a Hannah on there? Am I right?
Terrence.
Terrence.
Yeah.
Okay. That name rings a bell.
Oh yeah, good basketball player.
Good player out of Ashtabula.
So we don't know off the top of our head.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't come prepared.
Yeah,
You gotta cut this interview.
Actually, if everybody reads there's a 30-day countdown
Yeah, it's in
in
the
the Star
paper.
Beacon,
I
and
was
every
gonna-
day in the
I was
in the
gonna cut that
countdown,
out.
you can get the names of those who are nominated. So.
How about Coaches Referees Appreciation Award? Are you allowed to, well, you don't
We
know who
can't.
they are, right? Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
The
we can't
referee
actually-
was
Well, we can't tell who it is.
Pavlino, is it?
Who was the referee last year?
Oh no, I'm sorry. Going into the Hall of Fame,
Lou.
Lou Pavlino.
Lou
Yes.
Conley.
Yeah, he's going into the Hall of Fame as a referee.
Yep.
But the recognition of this year is
Right.
the referee of the year now.
Who was our referee last year?
You gotta understand. There's 160 Hall of Fame members, and I know I pass them on the street, and sometimes I'll say to myself, is he in the Hall of Fame yet, or is he not in the Hall of Fame yet?
Okay, I
Yeah, for me,
understand.
it's
I get it.
I have to have something in front of me, really.
Yeah, I do too.
To see who's in there, yeah. Yeah. It's my mind.
These events, the ones I've been to, are always sold out. So it is a good idea. Are there tickets available at the door?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, we don't turn anybody away.
Yeah, we'll find a spot for you. Yeah, we've ended up setting up tables 5 minutes before the banquet starts.
We prefer to pre-sell.
Sure.
But yeah, if anybody shows up at the door, we will.
We'll accommodate you.
This is at the Conneaut Human Resources Center. We should mention that as well.
Who have been a great host, and
Yes.
they've been there since the beginning. And
How
Debbie
many can you
Newcomb
put in
and
there?
Comfortably 325. If we get over that, it starts getting a little crowded.
And a shout out to Dennis and Marie Rott,
Yes, every
who
year.
help us set up and tear down every year, and they are awesome.
Yep.
Awesome to work with.
Do a great job.
Directors. You mentioned a lot of directors. I think Nick said representatives from around the area. One of them is a well-known coach around here, one-time broadcaster Brad Ellis.
Oh,
Talk
yeah.
a little bit about what you know about Brad.
Oh boy. A critical member of our board. Brad is our president. He's been president the last 3 or 4 years, I think. He volunteers when he goes to the restroom, and we all vote him in for next year. we won't let him go. But Brad, geez, you know, there's a guy. Yeah. His work ethic is second to none. You never have to ask him to do anything. He's always a step ahead of you, doing his job, and it just makes it easy for Nick and
Does
I.
it quietly. He's
Oh.
a quiet man.
Great guy, great athlete.
Yeah.
I mean, I played against him
Great
in
coach.
high school. Yeah, he was a very good athlete, good coach, and a wonderful individual.
Yes.
And actually had to step in this year as Geneva's head basketball coach.
1 year
That's
deal,
true.
right?
Yeah, well, we're not sure, but you know, they were kind of scurrying, and he stepped in to kind of handle the job this year.
That says a lot right there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
it does. It does say a lot. Another director you have, sounds like an Edgewood name to me, Al Goodwin.
Al's a great guy. Very dedicated to the organization. Has been just a big help to all of us. So yeah, he's great.
A lot of the names that you're going to say, Chuck, the first thought that comes to my mind when you say their names is experience. They go back.
I can see that.
Yeah, they go back where they're a wealth of knowledge. You know, you can ask them a question, and boy, if it's 1980 or 1970 or 1990, they're right on. And you know, they've been around. Several of them have been through several programs at different schools, which is nice. You know, they have experience at Harbor, Ashtabula, Edgewood. You know, they taught at multiple locations, so it's just a wealth of knowledge on our board.
Yeah, Al, longtime basketball coach and athletic director at Edgewood.
Yeah.
So him and Steve Cray kind of cover our Edgewood connection, or make our Edgewood connection. So.
And what I love about those guys, and it's one of the things I really loved about Tom Henson, you know, they tell it like it is. You ask them a question, and you're going to get the right answer. Not the answer you want to hear sometimes. You're going to get the right answer, and I respect those guys for that.
Absolutely.
Because it takes so much work away from the rest of the group. They've done it, they've made the mistakes, they know the right thing to do. And it just makes it so smooth for the rest of us.
Big Andover name here, another director, Bob Hitchcock, Hall of Famer himself.
Yeah, big name.
Big basketball family.
Yeah,
name.
big basketball family, and
Great guy.
and a great guy. Yeah,
Great guy.
Longtime coach, retired now, but despite his retirement, still very connected to the Pymatuning Valley School District and the Andover area. And he and Mel Nowakowski, who is the current athletic director, are our Andover connection. I mean, they are just awesome to work with.
The great Andy Johola.
Oh, geez, yeah.
He's relatively a new member.
He's a newbie, but boy, he's
about 3 or 4 Joholas, right?
yeah. He stepped right in there and didn't skip a beat.
We mentioned Steve Craig, Chris Laird, Tim Miser. Is he relatively new? That's a Jefferson name, am I correct?
Right, yeah. Doug Hladek and Tim Miser are our Jefferson connection. Jim Baker was a long-time charter member of our board, and he just resigned last year. He's spending a lot of time in Florida. So we wanted to continue that Jefferson connection, and Tim Miser, a former basketball coach and longtime school teacher at Jefferson, right?
Yeah, and I don't mind saying this. Tim Miser earned his way on our board. and let me explain that. From our first banquet, Tim Miser has sent more emails to the ACBF thanking us for what we do and making suggestions. And his suggestions were always good. I would read his suggestions and say, yeah, that makes sense. We should be doing that. And he does it year after year after year, and Nick and I would always say, you know, that guy would be a great director. And we were lucky enough to get him, yes.
Now, I knew most all these directors except this one. Ralph Turk?
Ralph is, I believe his son is the athletic director now. Is it his son or?
I'm pretty sure.
But Ralph is a longtime coach in the Orwell area. His family connection to the Orwell, and Ralph was more or less our, when Tom passed away, Ralph was the person who kind of filled in Tom's role and gives us that connection to Grand Valley and to Orwell, and it's a deep connection just like Tom's was. So
Came highly recommended.
very highly recommended.
Of course, our Conneaut connections here, Don Zappatelli and Becky Olmsted.
Oh, yeah. What do you say?
Exactly.
I mean, they never say no. Anything you need done, they're there. Both of them outstanding athletes in their day, which always helps. They understand, what these kids are going through. Two really valuable directors.
And what's cool about Becky, I mean, Dawn obviously at the high school as a principal knows what's going on, but Becky's still refereeing.
I was just going to ask that.
And so she sees these players play, whether it be girls or boys, and so she's, unlike Mike who are really sometimes too busy to go to a lot of games, she's going to a lot of games and watching a lot of players play and has a lot of valuable input.
Yeah, their input's really critical.
I think I see another new person, an executive administrator. I think he might be in this room, Michael Bartone.
Yep.
What can you tell us about Michael Bartone?
What can you tell us about
Well, I'll start out with the position he's filling was a position held by former high school coach and superintendent Kent Houston.
Oh, boy.
On our board. And Kent did a great job. A lot of the administrative duties and behind the scenes stuff was done by Kent. And Kent was very efficient, did a great job. Mike has that same kind of drive.
Yes, he does.
He's a people person. He's very well known in the community, community oriented, works very hard, doesn't get tired, loves to do those kind of things, which really helps. And I think he's just going to be an excellent replacement for the position he's in.
Technology's smart.
Oh yeah, we have a Facebook page now, which is being updated all the time, and that's something that we really needed. Right. And of course, Mike's an expert at that. So yeah, we really appreciate him coming aboard.
We're just fortunate enough to have somebody like him fill that role. I mean, we went without that role being filled for quite a long time. And so, I mean, Kent had left that position, well, actually a few years before he even became superintendent. Right. So it's great to have Michael on board, and he's just a great guy. Mm-hmm. I mean, just great to work with. So,
looking at your officers, Brad Ellis is your president, so he's serving as a director and president.
That's correct. Yeah.
Good man, like we said. Melanie Nowakowski, vice president.
Right? Yep. Yep. She's fine with me. She served in that capacity for the same time Brad's been president, so good 5 or 6 years at least.
Yeah. Still the athletic director at Pymatuning Valley. Mm-hmm. Been in that position for years. A Hall of Famer herself. Mm-hmm. Was formerly Melody Holt, and scored well over 1,000 points in her high school career. So she's not only a great coach or athletic director in her day.
She knows what it takes to be a Hall of Famer.
Right.
Ashtabula Panther, one time Secretary John Higgins.
Oh boy, John. Yeah.
Also athletic director, I believe, at Ashtabula High School one time.
John's another guy, I think, of experience and knowledge. He's been around so long and seen everything and done everything. He's a guy we always ask questions. Hey John, what about this? What about that? And he's got a mind like a steel trap, he remembers everything. But yeah, great guy too. Great guy.
Speaking of great guys, how about our treasurer, J.J. Eaton?
J.J., yep. Yeah. Not as active as he was. He still does our books for the foundation, but another great athlete, J.J. And of course, an invaluable member of the team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, in closing, what else do you want to say about this Ashtabula County Basketball Foundation? Now in its 14th season.
14.
Hard to believe.
14.
Hard to believe it's been around that long. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I didn't think it'd last into a decade, but here we are 14 years, and it all is because of the group of people we've surrounded ourselves with.
It's all because of you two and, like you said, your great directors and officers.
Yeah. One thing I think we should do, and if you don't have any objection, is that's an event that you should attend and do some interviews.
I will be there.
You are going?
The Griffiths have invited
Oh, okay.
my wife and I, so we will be there.
Maybe do some interviews if you wanted to.
That would be great.
Yeah, that would be great.
We would just need a camera.
Well, we'll figure something out. Mike Bartone, our executive administrator.
Oh, he can do double
He's
duty.
got other things to do.
Yeah. He'll set it up somehow.
Well, this has been fun, and again, we want to commend the two of you for bringing this event to Conneaut, the Ashtabula County Basketball Foundation. You guys do a great job. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Chuck.
Nick Iarocci and Mike Joslin are our guests today on Around the Town with Chuck. We'll see you next week with Michael Notar as our guest. Have a good night.